Okay, I'll call the Springfield Planning Commission meeting for June 6, 2019 to order. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're ready to call the roll.
Mr. Townsend.
Here.
Mr. Poole. Ms. Woodard. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mr. Hollingsworth.
Here.
Ms. Mason. Here. Mr. Sneed.
Here.
Mr. Powell.
Here.
Ms. Boyd. We have a quorum, 6 present, 3 absent.
Okay, is there a motion for approval of the minutes from the May 2nd meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, they'll stand approved. Item number 1 is the preliminary revised Eden Point plat. Is there a motion to put this on the floor for discussion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's Boyd.
I got her.
Okay, what have we got here, Dave?
Eden Point, the subdivision out off of Black Patch New Cut, owned by Donnie Eden. The Phase 2 had to have the lots reconfigured due to construction anomalies. This is the new layout that we're still waiting. Construction plans or either have been recently delivered and we're waiting to hear back from the other departments, or but there are a few comments that we have. This plat, on the original plat, showed a 60-foot buffer along that blue line stream in the back. We're going to request that stay in effect in compliance with TDEC's requirement. But the layout meets the maximum requirements for a cul-de-sac, which is 30 lots. They have completed their grading plan. They're still working on their grading work and they're moving forward. They have, to my knowledge, 5 building permits in their very first section, and they're holding up until they can get their construction plans. The road's going to be adjusted some, the sanitary sewer is going to be adjusted, storm sewer is going to be adjusted, and we're talking vertical adjustments more so than anything else. As soon as we get the construction plans approved and the final plat submitted, hopefully by the end of next month, we will be bringing that final plat to you for approval for that second phase. And the zoning classification for this is the RS10, minimum 10,000 square foot lots. Most of the lots are a little bit bigger than that. But single family residential homes only.
The ones that have gone up so far look good.
Yes, we have,
Real good.
well, we have a fine young man building homes out there.
I think so anyway. Yeah, they look good. Well, my mom-in-law lived right behind it.
Yeah. So, and, Trent Cobb's out there as well, and then there's another gentleman, I forget his. Northfleet. So they're, Donnie's expecting some high price points. I hope with the demand and the interest we're seeing in Springfield right now, I think that they'll be able to acquire those points as well.
David, I'm looking at the legend. I don't see sidewalks. Is that on a different map than this one?
Those will be on the construction plans,
Okay.
but this is just the preliminary layout. We will check and make sure, theoretically, the sidewalks are supposed to be shown on the final plat, as this particular subdivision will only have sidewalks one side of the street, as per the minimum requirement of our subdivision regulations. But feel free at any time to make that change to two sides of the street if y'all so desire.
How many lots currently is the codes where it requires two on both sides?
Say again, please.
How many lots in a one egress, ingress does it, can it have with one sidewalk before it requires two?
There is no requirement for two sidewalks at all in any subdivision that the city of Springfield.
Okay.
That's by the zoning ordinance. The maximum number of lots on a cul-de-sac, period, irregardless of zoning, is 30. In this particular case, this is a two-pronged cul-de-sac. The maximum length of any cul-de-sac is 1,200 feet from the intersection to the center of the cul-de-sac. If you look, both cul-de-sacs, the center to each cul-de-sac from the intersection adds up to 1,200 feet. That's the maximum that we allow.
What's the diameter of these cul-de-sacs?
The cul-de-sac radiuses are, if I remember correctly, there's a radius of 100 feet and then an 80-foot
Oh, it's
paving,
radius would be 50, but
50,
100 total circumference.
yeah,
Right, 50 radius.
50 radius, pavement, 80, curb and gutter. There will be curb and gutter on this, though.
Who's doing the utility work, you know?
I do not know. Maybe the gentleman from OEM may know. No, we don't.
Still
The
working on
developer
that.
is dealing directly with those contractors.
I know with the topography of it, with this, with these cul-de-sacs and the buildup, are y'all using vibrating compactors? How is that dirt getting compacted out there?
I don't know the specifics about the construction on site. I know that originally, and part of the reason this is being revised, part of the reason it's being revised is they ran into a lot of rock on the site.
Right.
And so they decided to make the decision to kind of maintain the natural
Right.
fall of the land a little bit and have to do less excavation on the land.
Right, I've been out there, I'm familiar with, I see a lot of yards of material being moved, but I haven't seen a compactor on site, so I'm concerned about whether some of it, of course, when they measure road, those things will be checked by the paving company, but
Right.
it's just curious to see, I haven't seen a compactor on site
Yeah, I mean, that would be a,
with that many yards being moved. You got trucks and excavators, but I haven't seen a compactor.
yeah, that'd be a good thing to check, I think, with the
Because if
contractor.
I've run into this before, where you start getting settles and things like that, especially in your forced main, out on the outside of the roadway that's going to be paved, they'll start pulling apart and breaking, and it needs to be enough room. No, not just where the road is, but enough that they can dig that forced main around the side and it's not 15 feet deep,
I agree.
Because if they lay it now and then they cover it up, then it becomes a problem and it pulls the pipes apart.
Right.
So it needs to be compacted and then the lines dug. You gotta watch how they do that.
Yep. I'll make a note to check with the contractor about it.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, while he's at the microphone, is there any other questions? All right, is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are we ready to go?
Ms. Boyd? Mr. Townsend?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Sneed?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, item number 2 is Electrolux 520,000 square feet warehouse. Is there a motion to put this on the floor for discussion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I can give you the departmental head overview, and if you have any very specific questions, Mr. Josh Lyons with Clover Engineering is here representing Electrolux. The site has not changed from the original overview that this commission was shown back a few months back. What has changed is the size of the building. At one time, it was, when y'all looked at it the first time, it was 500,000 square feet. It's now 525,000 square feet. Electrolux wants you guys to approve this site plan contingent upon staff's review and acceptance of all the construction plans for the site, and of course, our codes administrator doing the building plant review for this warehouse. They did not want to invest the more money for the, building plans for a structure this size until they knew that you guys were good with approving it. It's,
Make a motion to approve the plans contingent planning reviews the site plan.
city staff,
City staff.
okay.
Okay.
City staff's approval. And when we do that approval, we will bring it back as an informational item to let you know that we have approved it.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? All right, I guess we're ready to vote.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Townsend?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd? Mr. Sneed?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, I don't see anything under old business. Do we have old business today?
We have no old business, but I have, as always, a couple of items for informational purposes. There will be no Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in June. However, we are anticipating requests for the July meeting and the August meeting. We will keep you posted, obviously, at your Planning Commission meetings. I want to remind you that next month's meeting, the July meeting is July the 2nd.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, July the 2nd. And then tomorrow is the first Friday market, and it starts downtown square, 6 p.m. The historic event coordinators cordially invite each and every one of you to show up and come and enjoy yourselves. I don't know if y'all all met Ms. Atlee, this Kimberly Atlee. She's our new planner. She's come on board, and Gina and her have been working together. She's getting up to speed quite quickly and helping us get a few projects that we've needed to get accomplished off of our plate. We're fortunate to have her. She has a background in Ezra GIS software, mapping software. We're soon to start taking advantage of her expertise on that as well. Things that may be coming in down the future, I don't know if it'll be July's meeting. Gina, myself, Kimberly, we have been reviewing and continue to review the zoning ordinance. I will anticipate giving you a review and a report as per the requirements of the zoning ordinance as soon as I can wrap my head around the complexity of what's going on there. So with that said, Gina, do you have anything?
We just got that rezoning request in from CG to CC.
Yes.
Just right, about 4:15.
Right.
What is the status on the Second Amendment gun shop?
There you
I was
go.
just about to ask that.
Okay, well, short story is that there has been a contract offered on the building. The guy is interested in buying it, wants to buy it. However, there is a pending litigation between the business owner at the old Spur station and the present owner. Once that situation gets rectified, the new owner has every anticipation of getting in there and getting the asbestos cleaned out within 60 to 90 days. And then he wants to try to salvage as much of one side as he can, salvage the bricks, hopefully use them in a development. That particular lot will have to be rezoned CC. And Gina mentioned there is we will probably be bringing to you next month at the Planning Commission meeting a zoning request to rezone from 9th, from Main Street to Cheatham Street, from 9th to 12th. And most of,
And taking in the little triangle.
David, I know what we're thinking about building right there with those road crossings, the trains having to blow their horns through there. You're talking about changing some of your zoning ordinances and stuff, and not zoning ordinance, but, yeah, you said zoning ordinances, right?
zoning class, well,
Zoning for the properties.
Right.
zoning classification.
Because if I was thinking along the line of any tenants that may be in this potential new development here with those road crossings right there, if it's built at current codes, then the walls are just gonna be 2x4s, where if it's next to that railroad crossing, I know if it's an FHA or any kind of federal, it has to have some noise abatement and things like that. You see where I'm going with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have any of that been discussed about this? Because that
Well-
could be a problem with what, they're wanting to change the zoning right there.
Well, we do not anticipate any issues. It is our understanding if you build to the ICC 2012 code, that it will meet that requirement.
So there is something in addition to just normal construction codes that if it needs any kind of noise abatement attached to it, that it'll be built into this project?
Well, the normal codes should address a good portion of that. I don't know if there's and we will get with Mr. Fields to see, I don't know that there is a maximum requirement or
Right. I just don't want to see anyone who, because there's a shortage of housing. And if
Yes.
there's any available, people will take it. But I'm concerned about if that's available, they take it and they have to endure the trains blowing its horn through there with
Yes.
just normal unabated materials and walls and structures. That's something that we could, as a zoning board, do something about.
Yes. Well, I do know that most of these discussions are about building sellable units, not rentable units.
Okay.
So if it's a sellable unit and we're going to, and it's called, and it's designated in the banking vernacular as a town home, it will meet the minimum requirements for first-time home buyers. And so
Well,
I will assume, and we will look, that
now,
those requirements will be in the plans as well.
first-time homebuyers like using FHA.
Yes. Or
As a builder, I've experienced it. If it's an FHA loan and it's borders a railroad property, it requires noise abatement during construction. Just let your developer know that,
Yes, sir.
so it's not something that they get into and have an issue, because FHA, from my experience, it may be different now with this, but I've experienced it has to be incorporated into the project.
Yes,
Noise
sir.
abatement if it touches a railroad property.
And we will talk with that developer extensively about that.
I'm sure he doesn't know that.
Also,
Imagine it.
those houses that are on Cheatham Street, it's presently a CG zoning, which does not allow for residential living. And in the event that between now and development of something, if any of those CG homes burn down, they couldn't be built back. You'd have to put back some sort of commercial type structure. The CC has a residential component to it, so this will also allow those home owners who own those houses, if the buildings are destroyed, they can build those back. But we will see how that works out. But we're moving towards getting getting Springfield's core commercial down into that block, into those 3 blocks. So we're gonna, or 4 blocks. So, you know, we'll be setting up that ordinance and moving forward with that overall description.
And the request that came in, the person did their due diligence and went and talked to all those property owners and have signatures,
Have a petition.
have a petition, have all the signatures from those owners and everything. So it's not just one person trying to
You got
get
it
this
from the
much.
railroad? Well, the railroad wouldn't care about it, but
Who?
I said the railroad.
I know.
You probably didn't talk to the railroad. but-
No.
But that would be a noise abatement thing for an FHA loan, for anybody that potentially wants to buy it. Just didn't want that to be a surprise, or
Well, I mean,
Just-
we'll
just-
make sure that
just
these
let-
people know that, but
just
I
let the
mean,
developer be aware of that. It's
Yes,
something
we will.
experience, pass it on to them.
We will
the
do
biggest
that.
reason that this kind of came about is because there's a home that's been sold on Cheatham Street, the corner of
Right,
Cheatham and
right.
12th.
Yeah, I
And
looked
the
at
bank
that.
wants us to give them a letter saying that if the house were to be destroyed, that it could be built back as a residence. And
See, I
right
looked-
now, it cannot be done that way.
See, I looked at buying that house too, when it was burned out from a fire. And I was told that you couldn't, so,
You can't, what do you mean? You were
that you
told.
couldn't build a house, but I want to tear it down, and build something nice right there.
Right, you
I-
can't, you
I- I
can't,
don't
you
like
can't,
quitting
not
it.
in CG zoning, and that's the reason they
Right.
talked to all these people.
So we're gonna
and-
change the zoning for this one project.
No, we're
Okay.
changing it for a lot of different things.
Okay.
Not just for this, but that's sort of what instigated everything. The people talking to everybody else.
I see.
Has he bought the property from the owner's Second Amendment?
He has a standing contract to buy when the litigation is no longer
All
an
right,
issue.
Where I'm gonna go with this is, it's been 90 days since the wall fell in. We condemned that building a year or so ago, 2 years ago.
Oh,
3,
longer than that.
whatever. What are we condemning? Springfield finna get in the litigation with you, more than likely, because you condemn something, you let it continue to deteriorate to the point of everything fell in on it, and then the wind come up that day, it pushed the wall in on the man's truck, and now his business is shut down.
Yes,
So
sir.
Springfield's gonna sit there and fall into some liability somewhere, more than likely. This litigation could go on for years. Let's don't be played a fool. Let the man buy it, and let us, either he buys it, or we go ahead and tear it down.
Well-
The litigation had nothing to do with us tearing it down.
To our knowledge, they cannot purchase it. I don't know the legal ramifications. We
All right,
were
we
told.
condemned it before the wall fell.
I'm not talking about the cities, I'm talking about between the owner and the
I think
buyer.
litigation would be if he buys it and there's a lien on that property, the claimant would have to be paid before the property is closed. It's not holding up. I would not think a intent to purchase would hold up the project. It's just at closing, there's a lien outstanding. Somebody has to be paid before the former owners get their money. That claimant has to be paid.
Yes, sir. Well, we will discuss that further with Ms.
Look
Hope.
at the shoemaker down the street, fixing up across from the depot, which it looks nice. You got, little Sloan down there, fixing up the one triangle. And now, we're sitting there dragging our feet. We drug our feet for years.
I disagree
before-
on
We should
that.
have tore it down years ago, and this is what's happened to us now.
Well-
We sit there, we condemn this stuff, and then we let them play us for a fool, and they do. If it hadn't been for the money being appropriated at the hotel, it'd still be standing there.
And-
We realized y'all was serious, and finally got something done.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Harnsworth, but, you know, this commission can recommend to the board, what you would like to see. The board has to allocate the funds.
But they're already allocated, David.
They're
They were
allocated,
moved from the motel to this one.
yes, sir.
We should, when they were moved, the next day it should have been torn down, it should have been done.
Dave, can you have the developer maybe call some of the members on this board that's concerned, or maybe speak on it?
We will ask him to do that.
Next question, the curb for the greenway by the depot, y'all gonna tear it out.
I think the same thing.
You can't turn right there at 10 with a car sitting there by the depot trying to turn out, and you back everybody up on the railroad track.
Yes, sir.
The curb is so far out there, it's got to go. It's a safety, it's an accident wait for a place to happen. And we're gonna have a problem right there.
We'll discuss that with Mr. Ellis. I I'm going to say my one piece on that, and then I'm going to move on. It seems that, as of late, a lot of people seem to think they drive WB-50 vehicles, which are transfer trucks, and they like to make those big wide turns when they have power steering and are capable of making an adequate small radius curve turn. We will,
And the only way you can do it, Dave, I've tried it.
okay.
The only way you can do it is swing out in traffic, going on North Main, going north, swing out in traffic and try to make a turn if somebody's sitting there.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's a mess. And
Well-
we should never built it
I
that
didn't,
far
I
out.
wasn't laughing at you, but I had a lot of questions about how that was gonna be done, and there was no detailed schematics on the planning of the greenway for us to look at.
Yeah.
I asked for it. What are we paying for? And we spent, what, $350,000 for that?
I mean, it's a,
And we had no idea what we were buying.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's just-
thought it was gonna be
it can
something.
be backed up about 7, 8 foot and cut off and be okay.
I thought it was
But
gonna be
it's
something.
a mess right there. I mean, I've seen people jack, I go to depots and I stand up front there and I see people, they try to turn, they sit there, the people can't go, the traffic's coming, everybody, there's nothing comes across the railroad track, they get stuck on the railroad track, wait for all this mess to get out of the way. You know, I don't understand how in the world you thought you could make a turn right there.
Well, to my knowledge, it was designed to ADA compliancy and the minimum standards for 30-mile-an-hour roads. We'll have to move forward from there. So we'll ask Mr. Ellis as he waves goodbye to us to give us his opinion on that.
Well,
He needs to change the way he's been.
I was under the impression that much money being spent right there, Helen Keller could go up there and not get run over by a train, but that's not what we got. If it'd been that much money, I would've just said, walk it into the street. I've not done that.
Who's gonna be taking Alan's spot?
We are not privy to that information at the present time. I know that there have been several people apply for the position. I don't know if they have started interviewing for that position or not. I would like to think that they would do so in an expeditious fashion because that department head actually is the department head of 4 departments.
All right, is there anything else?
So we're getting a reopening on the cinema uptown?
At some point, yes, ma'am, we have yet to see their interior plans and what they're going to do. I don't know that it will actually be an actual everyday movie theater. Yeah. Our discussions with the guy is that it will be some sort of entertainment venue.
David, I'm sorry, are you through?
Yes.
I mean, interrupt. I saw something about $1 million plus about doing something about the tunnel behind Farmers Bank through the railroad right there. It just seems like an enormous amount of money, and, you know, you're gonna have to pay the railroad to do that. They're gonna do that work on their own property. It's not gonna be something we do. Just like that $350,000 get, you know, 10 yards of concrete in one little 10-foot gate, which, you know, if I'd known what it was, seen schematics, I'd said absolutely not, stop the road. Since it's not federal and state money anymore, and we're paying for it, just stop.
Oh, there was federal money involved in that.
Years ago. But
No,
what we're doing now.
in the last one, there were state and federal funds.
Well, we should have done the last leg somewhere else and let this be city. We'd done what we wanted to stop it and let it go through the street and get around it, but, which is only 3 feet away, or a 3-foot diversion around it. But far paying the railroad another $1 million for that tunnel, can't we figure out something with our engineering department to channel that water instead of going under the railroad, just channel it back toward Memorial Boulevard and get it back around there? Have anybody looked at that?
The short answer is no, because it's all underground. There's no way to, there's no place in that bank other than TDOT's right-of-way on Memorial Boulevard to route that water above ground, and that,
I was thinking, I'm thinking outside the box.
yes, sir.
Run it to the bridge, run it down the sidewalk, and turn it back to the other side, and have the sidewalk elevated up and back down the other side.
Yes, sir. You're still, to my knowledge, you're still within CSX's right-of-way. So,
Right, but you're not dealing with the construction, you're just dealing with permission to go under it.
well, you're dealing with construction as well at some
I
point.
just think it'd be less than $1 million if we run it to the street, down the sidewalk, turn it back, and just make the sidewalk go slight, upgrade and back down, so
Yes, sir.
for wheelchair accessibility and people could walk it. I'm just
I
thinking
know
outside the
that
box.
that's, there's more than one entity that's interested in that, CSX being one of them, the city of Springfield being one, the Department of Transportation being another. There is, I have no idea how many engineers, I haven't been involved in any of that design or layout, but that is the professional opinion of all engineers where it needs to go and how it needs to be done. So,
Well, I mean, if we're all focused on rebuilding the existing, I'm looking
well,
at trying to reroute it.
we really do need to be tying into the existing.
Right, I'm just thinking about rerouting it rather
Yes, sir.
than walking down that same cow path.
And I don't know
All the
how
cows won't walk
deep,
down the same
if
cow
we were
path,
if we were to try to go out into the right of way, I don't know how deep we would have to dig it to get it into the slopes that they need to carry the volumes that they've calculated due to the, it's my understanding that they're actually, those volumes are to meet the future needs of that basin as well. So like I said, once again, Ms. Head will take a note, and we will ask Alan about it as he waves to us as he leaves.
Already took a note.
David, would you know if, we're gonna be hiring an engineer to replace Alan?
We do not know, believe it or not, the job description does not require a professional engineer for that
Really?
position. No, ma'am. And it never has. We just got fortunate however many years ago when Mr. Ellis applied for the job, and that he was a professional engineer. The requirement, I believe now, is at a minimum, I'll have to look, but it's like a public administration job.
So we have engineers that will tackle those problems or
We
those-
will have, there's discussion on how we're going to have plan review. At some point in the future, not too distant future, we may hire a third party to do all of our engineering plan review in accordance with our design criteria from all the departments. So, and that would include the subdivision regulations for our roads and things like that. So, presently, I don't have the expertise to do transportation reviews or storm drainage reviews. I could probably pick up storm drainage quicker than I could pick up the transportation side of it. But hopefully, hopefully, the candidates that have applied, hopefully some of those candidates are engineers, and they rise to the top during the selection process. You're welcome.
All right, is there anything else? Well, I don't hear anything. I guess we'll stand adjourned.
Y'all have a good weekend.
July the
Hope to see you
2nd.
tomorrow night.
But they-